that's nice. Thank you. Oh, I thought you were staying, Lucy. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Are you staying out there? No, Lucy's not, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And even if we were short, we have 5 or 6 Torahs in there, so we're good. This morning, just like last night, Erev Cantor Sarah's not feeling very well and cannot make it. So I'm going to do the singing. I'm not a cantor. I do play and I do sing, but I'm not a cantor, so that means you have to sing with me. Most of the songs that I will sing are melodies, congregational melodies, but some of them I do slightly differently, so just play along with me. So with that, I'd like to ask Jerry Cohn to come up and give some announcements. I would normally do the whole service from the floor, but because we're doing a Torah service, it's just... Oh, today we're using Mishkan Tefillah, and just so you get a head start, we are going to start on page 170 when we get there.
Shabbat Shalom. As Rabbi mentioned, I'm Jerry Cohen on the board of Kol Ami, and for years, especially at Temple Emmanuel, when a board representative was here to address the congregation, we were given a pretty rigid script. But in recent times, we haven't been given a script, so we're sort of on our own. So you'll have to bear with me, please. In looking at this week's bulletin, I noticed something on Jewish genealogy. And to share a small anecdote with you, I have a very, very dear friend who was raised in an Orthodox household, was president of his conservative congregation, and just before he turned 80, through genealogy, he discovered that he was adopted, and his birth parents were Italian Catholics. Now, he did not convert to Catholicism, but what it just emphasizes is how important one's environment is to one's life. How does that relate to Kol Ami? We have an incredible environment here, one that is caring, one that's welcoming. And if you look at this week's bulletin, you'll find that there are a myriad of activities that really, truly make our congregation a home of joyful Judaism. And one thing that I would really like to emphasize, there is a town hall, strategic planning town hall on November 19th at 10:30. I'm sure most of you are aware of the fact that members of the board and other members of our congregation have been doing a lot of work on strategic planning to help develop programs, et cetera, to ensure that Kol Ami continues to flourish. So please, set aside some time to join us. It's critically important to have the input from all the members of the congregation. And I think I would be remiss if I didn't thank Rabbi Cohen for the opt-ed that he provided to the Star. It's in the bulletin, so you can link onto it. He expressed in a much more eloquent manner than I ever could my thoughts and feelings about what's going on in Israel. So Rabbi Cohen, thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Our service is going to begin on page 170. We're going to start with 2 things about the soul. The idea, which we also discussed last night, the idea is that we're born with a pure soul, all of us. But even before that, when we say Hashkivenu at night, the bookend in the morning is we thank God for giving us back our soul, because he takes it during the night, apparently. So this is Modeh Ani, and this is sort of a favorite camp tune. Modeh Ani lefanecha, melech chai v'kayam, shehechazarta binishmati behemla, rava emunatecha, Rava emunatecha, מודה אני לפניך, מלך חי וקיים, שהחזרת בי נשמתי בהמה, בהמה, רבה אמונתך, רבה אמונתך. We turn to page 174. And this is about the soul that God has given us. I'll do mostly congregational melodies, but these I'm not sure of. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehorahi. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehorahi. Ata berata, ata yitzata, ata nefakta bi. Ve'ata meshamera, mishamra kirbi. Elohai, Elohai, neshama, shenatata bi tehorahi. We turn to page 175 for the morning blessings, and we recite them together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan l'sek vivina, lahavhin ben yom uven laila. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, matir hasurim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, zokef kifufim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, ruka haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamechim et tzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hanoten le'ayaf koach. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamevir sheina me'enai, utnuma me'afapai. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tzelem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani ben chorim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael b'gvurah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, oter Yisrael b'tifarah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'sok b'divrei Torah. We continue on page 194. Yitkadahal v'yitkadash shmei rabba, b'yomad yifrachute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chaye dekol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala, ba'agala, uv'izman kariv, v'imru, Amen. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתהלל, ויתהלל שמי לקודשה, בריחו, לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונאמתה, דמירן בעלמה, ואמרו, Amen. Please rise for the Baruch Hu. Baruchu et Adonai ha-mevorach. Baruchu et Adonai ha-mevorach. Baruch Adonai ha-mevorach leolam va'ed. Baruch Adonai ha-mevorach leolam va'ed. Baruchu et Adonai ha-mevorach. Baruchu et Adonai ha-mevorach. Please be seated. Having a little page turning problem here. We read together on page 195. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvorei choshech, oseh shalom uvorei et hakol, hameir la'aretz v'ladarim alecha barachamim, uftuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh bereshit. Ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam v'chochma asita, malah ha'aretz kinyanecha, titbarach Adonai Eloheinu, al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, v'al moreh or she'asita yafa arucha selah. Or chadash al Tzion tahir, v'nizkeh kulanu mechera le'oro. Baruch atah Adonai yotzer hamorot. And we continue on page 198 in the middle of the page. Please join in the singing with me. Just have to get the... V'ha'erinenu b'toratecha levad v'ekdebenu mitzvotecha v'yached levavenu le'achava u'yira et shemecha v'lo nevosh v'lo nitkalem v'lo nikashel le'olam va'ed. V'ha'erinenu b'toratecha levad v'ekdebenu mitzvotecha v'yached levavenu le'achava u'yira et shemecha. Baruch atah Adonai habocher amo Yisrael b'ahava. Please rise for the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod it's your custom to remain to be seated during the V'ahavta, please do so. If not, remain standing. I do V'ahavta in the Torah trope that we do, the Torah trope, so it might sound a little different. Just remember when you get to the da-da-da-da part, it's like a harmony, but this is how it goes. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha v'hayu הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני Adonai Elohechem, Asher Hotzeiti Etchem Me'eretz Mitzrayim, Liot Lachem Le'Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem. If it's your practice to sit down, you may sit down now. The two parts of the V'ahavta that we read are from two parts of the Torah, and thereby I do the ending of a portion just to indicate that they're from two different parts of the the Torah. On page 203, sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war and once again ravished again, not so quiet and not so content. Her soldiers are not home, and they unfortunately have had to leave again. But in thinking about our history and our common bond, this is still the song of a world redeemed and a song of peace. So we turn to the next page and we'll sing Mi Chamocha. This Mi Chamocha is the other Debbie Friedman Mi Chamocha. Can you make my mic louder so I can't hear me? Die 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 Mi chamocha b'harim Adonai, mi chamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh, nora tehilot osef eleh. Shir hadashah shivu gilulim, l'shimcha tzfat hayam, yachad kulam hodu, v'imhu v'amru, Adonai himyo le'olam va'ed, Adonai himlo le'olam va'ed. Mi chamocha b'harim Adonai, mi chamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh, nora tehilot osef eleh. Sur Yisrael, on page 204. Sur Yisrael, kuma bezrat Yisrael, fadekenu mecha, Yehuda v'Yisrael. Go aleinu Adonai tzvaot shemo, kadosh Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Please rise for the tefillah. Anananananana Adonai, Anananananana Svatai Tiftach, Anananananana Ufi Agid Tahila Techa, Anananananana Adonai, Ananananana Svatai Tiftach, Ananananana Ufi Agid Tahila Techa, Anananananana Adonai, Ananananana Svatai Tiftach, Ananananana Ufi Agid Tahila Techa. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibur v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gumel Hasadim Tovim, V'Koneh HaKol, V'Zocher Hasei Avot V'Imahot, U'mevei Geula Livnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechakel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayeh HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofeh Holim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Gevurot, U'Mido Melach, Melech Meimit, U'Mechayeh, U'Matzmiach Yeshua, V'Ne'eman atah leHachayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. On page 208, we have the Kedusha. Nekadesh et shimcha be'olam, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ, כבודו. Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonenu, Ma'adir Shimcha Bechol Haaretz. Baruch Kevod Adonai, Mimkemo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu, v'hu Yashmienu, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם. Elohai Zion, Lidor vador, Hallelujah. Lidor vador nagid God lecha, Ulenetzach netzachim kedushaktecha nagtish, V'shifach Eloheinu, mipinu lo yamush leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. I sometimes think that both Vishamru or Yismachu don't get their due because Vishamru is done in Shachrit and Yismachu is done in Musaf. So this is a combination of both of them. The Vishamru you won't know. It was done by an Ashkenazic rabbi who put the emphasis on in an Ashkenazic way, but it leads right into Yismachu, and I think you'll know it. The Vishamru is very quick, so. Vishameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasod et ha-Shabbat lidorotam ritolam Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael Oti le'olam Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayina fash Yismechu v'malachutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei Oneg Shabbat Yismechu v'malachutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei Oneg Shabbat Mikadeshei, Mikadeshei Shavi'i Shabbat Kulam yisbeu ve'yitangu mitu ve'chal Shabbat Yismechu ve'malachutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei Oneg Shabbat Yismechu ve'malachutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei Oneg Shabbat V'hashvi'i ratzita bo ki v'kidashtaho Shabbat Hemdat yamim oto karata Zecher lema'aseh v'reshit Yismechu v'malachutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat V'korei Oneg Shabbat. We continue praying silently on pages 212 through 215. And when you're finished, you may sit down. Our service continues with the Birkat Shalom, a prayer for peace. Sim Shalom can be found on 216. Just like I combined two verses in Yismahu, I am going to combine two verses in Sim Shalom, but you know the melody. Sim Shalom, Tova Uvracha, Hen v'chesed v'rachamim v'rachamim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael amecha Barchenu avinu kulanu ke'echad be'or panecha Ki v'or panecha natata lanu Adonai Eloheinu Torah Hayim ve'achavat Hesed tzedakah uvracha ve'rachamim Hayim v'shalom Sim shalom Tova uvracha Hein v'hesed ve'rachamim ve'rachamim Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol Yisrael Amecha v'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך שים שלום טובה וברכה הן וחסד ורחמים ורחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל ישראל עמך ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו ישראל Shalom. Our service continues with our Torah service, which can be found on page 242, I believe. I will need some help. I'm wondering, Jerry, if you can help me undress the Torah. 244 is, sorry, you're right. 244. Jerry, can you help me? Yeah. While we're doing this, for those online, if you have any names for the Misha Berach list, please put them in the chat. And actually, we're going to start on page 246. Jerry, if you would open the ark. I don't know where the light is for the ark, by the way. So, it's on. Good. It wasn't on before. Ki mitzion Tetzei Torah, Ki mitzion Tetzei Torah, Udevar Adonai Merushalayim. And then on the next page, Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah, Le'amo Yisrael, B'Kdusha Torah. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlu l'Adonai iti, uneromema, Shemo Yakdav. You can close the ark. Lecha, close the ark. Aha Adonai, Hagedula, V'Hagivura, V'Hatiferet, V'Hanetzach, V'Hahod. Ki kol v'shamayim uvaretz, Ki kol v'shamayim uvaretz, Le'Adonai just lift it. Lechol, just lift the cover. Lerosh. Okay. Please be seated. If you do me the favor of just putting those things over on the stand over there, thank you. This week's Torah portion is Vayeira. The portion that we'll be reading is from the Akedah, just like we read on the High Holy Days. But in this case, what I'm going to talk about later is a part that is not from the Akedah, but from earlier, from Haknasat Orachim, which is the welcoming of guests. She's here. Okay, good. So the first reader that we have for the Torah is Margie Kendall. What? Oh, I asked Jerry to close it, sorry. I thought it was closed. Talmud Harishon Shulamit Bar Abraham V'Sar LeTorah. What? You should do, yeah, that would be great. And then the third one we'll do as a congregation. Ready? Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. And you have, yours begins B'yom HaShlishi. It's right here. Do you want me to hold it?
Amen. Bayom hashlishi vayisa Avraham et einav. Vayaret hamakom merachok. Vayomer Avraham el nerav. Shvu lechem po im hachamor va'ani v'hana'ar neilcha ad ko v'nishtachaveh v'nashuva aleichem vayikach Avraham et atzei ha'olah vayasem al Yitzchak beno vayikach biyado et ha'esh ve'et ha'machelet vayelchu shnehem yachdav.
Beautiful.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. I was. What? From verse 4 on the third day.
On the third day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place from afar. Abraham said to his servant lads, "Stay here with the donkey. The lad and I will go yonder. We will worship and return to you." Abraham then took the wood for the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son. In his own hand he held the firestone and the knife, and the two of them went on together.
Terrific. Thank you. Yeshua. Yes, Andy. I'll do it when Margie comes up. I have a mic. I've never done this before. Ta Ya'amod Hasheni Daniel Dov Tzvi Ben Yitzhak Umalka Li'aliyah L'Torah Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato Baruch Ata Adonai Notein HaTorah. Amen. Vayomer Yitzhak El Avraham Avi Vayomer Avi Vayomer Hine Vani Vayomer Hine Ha'esh Va'etzim Va'ayeh Haseh Liolah Vayomer Avraham Elohim Yirah lo haseh leolah bani vayelchu shnechem yakdav vayavo el hamakom asher lo ha'Elohim vayaven sham Avraham et hamizveah vayarok et ha'etzim vayakod et Yitzchak bano vayasem oto al mizbeah me'al le'etzim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah. Then Isaac said to his father Abraham, Father! And he answered, Yes, my son. And he said, Here are the firestone and the wood, but where is the sheep for the burnt offering? And Abraham said, It is God who will see to the sheep for the burnt offering, my son. And the two of them walked on together. They arrived at a place of which God had told him. Abraham built an altar there. He laid out wood. He bound his son Isaac. He laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Leaves our story in suspense. Tamot Shlumit bat Moshe HaKohen v'Shoshana le'aliyah l'Torah. Call Susan Kaplan to the Torah. I had very little time to prepare for this because I didn't know until today that, last night, that Sarah wasn't coming. But it's interesting to read a Torah portion that is normally, at least I normally read it in High Holy Day trope. So all the words are very, very familiar. But I am speaking for myself. Thank you, Susan. But it helps. I'm a rabbi, so that doesn't really count. The prayers are here if you need them. The microphone will be right here, and then I will switch it to...
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Now you are at Vayishlach, right?
Right.
Go ahead. Now you have your own yad. Good.
Vayishlach Avraham et yado, vayikach et hamacheret, lishchot et beno, vayikra elav malach Adonai min hashamayim, vayomer Avraham, vayomer hineni, vayomer al tishlach yadcha el hana'ar, ve'al ta'aslo me'uma, ki ata yadati, ki yarei Elohim ata velo hashachta et bincha et yidcha min many.
Beautiful. Thank you. Closing practice. Dan?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Beautiful. Thank you.
What about the translation?
The translation is right here. We started at verse 10, correct?
Correct.
Right here, 10. Abraham now reached.
Abraham now reached out and took the knife to slay his son. But out of heaven an angel of the Eternal called to him, saying, Abraham, Abraham! He replied, Here I am. The angel then said, Do not lay your hand on the lad, do nothing to him, for now I know that you are one who fears God, as you did not withhold your son, your only one, from me. Amen.
Amen. Do things a little bit differently today, just because I'm here alone and I have to handle everything. So at this point in our service, we think about those who are in need of healing. And we think of those recently added to our list, Larry Lykin, George Foss, Joshua Crane, and Eve Barborek. If there's anybody here who has names to add, Andy? Sarah Bolt. Sherry, what was it, Sherry? Sherry Kanako. Ralph Hartman. Anybody else? So we turn to page 253 and join in the singing of Misha Berach. You may join hands if you wish. Misheberach avotenu mikor habracha alea emotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mikor habracha lehavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Please be seated. Some people call this a wimple. But this wimple is giving me a worry because it easily gets twisted. V'zot haTorah asher asa Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai liad Moshe hodo al eretz v'shamayim v'yarem kerem Yivalacho hasidav livnei Yisrael Am kerovo, hallelujah, hallelujah. Please be seated. Please be seated. I need a roadie. This week's Haftorah portion comes from the book of Kings. And let me just get to it here. We're going to read verses 32 to 35. This has the prophet Elisha. I'll translate it first, and then I'll chant it. Elisha went into the house, and there was the dead boy lying on his bed. He went in, shut the door on the two of them, and prayed to the Eternal. Then he stretched himself over the boy, placing his mouth, eyes, and hands over the boy's mouth, hands, and eyes. He crouched over him, and the boy's body grew warm. Elisha got up, walked to and fro about the house, and again crouched over the boy. The boy then sneezed 7 times and opened his eyes. You can see the relationship between that and the Torah portion, the idea that the boy was saved in a different manner than Isaac was saved. Vayavo Elisha habayta v'hinei anameh mushkav al mitato v'yavo v'yiskor hadelet v'had Shnehem v'yitpalel el Adonai. Vayal yashkav yeled vayasem piv piv va'enei el einav v'chapav el kapav. I read it in Torah, sorry. Vayigor elav vayacham basar hayeled vayashev vayelech babayit achad heina ve'achad heina vayal vayigor alav vayazorer hanahar ad sheva pa'amim vayivkach hanahar el einav. You may have noticed I forgot to say the blessing. Okay, good. So we're covered. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol haolamim, tzaddik bechol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer ve'oseh, hamdaber u'mkayem, shekol devarav, emet v'tzedek, al ha'torah, v'al ha'avodah, v'al hanvi'im, v'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh, shenatata lanu, Adonai Eloheinu, likdusha v'limnucha, likavod u'tifaret, al hakol. Adonai Eloheinu, anachnu modim lach, umvorchim otach, yitbarak shimcha, b'ficho chai tamid leolam va'ed, baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha'shabbat. Amen. Please rise. It's Chaim hi l'machazichin ba v'tomechecha mehusha darachecha darchei noam v'chol netivotecha shalom hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Hadesh Yameinu Hadesh Yameinu Kekedem. Please be seated. Now you know why you have a rabbi and a cantor. There's just a lot to be done up here. In our Torah portion this week, it not only covers the Akedah, there's several things in it. God remembering Sarah, and even earlier, we have the tale of Hachnasat Orachim, how Abraham welcomes his guests. And that's what I'm going to speak about this morning. Last night, I talked about the situation in Israel, and continuing with this theme, this is a story that just came from the last month. Rachel Edry served tea and Moroccan cookies to Hamas terrorists carrying grenades until police stormed her house in the south of Israel and rescued her on October 7th, 2023. After an early morning air raid siren, Rachel and her husband returned from a bomb shelter in her hometown of Ofakim to find a band of Hamas militants in her living room. As gunfire raged outside, Edry's home saw a 20-hour tete-a-tete between hospitality and brutality. Thus, it is written this way in the AP. And this is the quote from the AP. I told him, I'm really like your mother. I will help you. I will take care of you. What do you need? Edry told Yanet, or Israelnet. She served the terrorists canned pineapple, tea, and her signature Moroccan cookies. She sang them Arabic songs, and they replied with Hebrew ones. She offered the men Coke Zero, and when they said they preferred Coca-Cola, she obliged. She worried if they were hungry, they would become even more aggressive. She fed them breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Rachel offered drinks and told them to relax. After they drank and ate, they became much calmer. Edry said, I started having conversations, and at one point, I even forgot for a moment that they were terrorists. In a TV interview, Rachel said, of course I did it to save our lives, but this is how I was brought up. If you have visitors, you receive them and feed them. It comes naturally. I saw visitors in my living room, and I had to be a good host. After 17 hours, an IDF team was able to rescue Edry and her husband with the help of their son, Aviatar. Gedolah haknesat orachim mi kabbalat pnei hashchina. Greater is the hospitality than receiving the divine presence. And this is written in the Talmud in Shabbat 127a. Our sages in the Talmud discuss the importance of the mitzvah of haknesat orachim, which is hospitality, and try to define how to prioritize it when in conflict with other vital commandments, particularly Torah study. Rav Yehuda quoted Rav stating that hospitality supersedes an encounter with the Shekhinah itself. In our Torah portion, Abraham, as he was in dialogue with the divine, says, would you please hold on for a moment? I see 3 strangers coming in my direction, and I want to host them. I'll be back after tending to them. What is so important about this mitzvah that a man gets his moment of revelation and prophecy and renounces it to take care of 3 nomads? Well, according to Rabbi Dov Berel-Wein, it is the profound realization that we all are, in fact, guests in this world. The world is our temporary dwelling. If we acknowledge the temporary nature of our essence, the entire relationship between fellow human beings changes. When we realize that we are guests, we behave politely and with manners, bless our hosts, and express gratitude. The ways of our guests are pleasant, as I just sang, Darchei Noam. That's why Hachnasat Orachim is greater than receiving the divine presence or rushing early to the house of study. Human beings can't receive the divine if they don't internalize that they are just guests in this world. Perhaps this subconscious internalization made Rachel Edry perform a mitzvah, not for just strangers, but for her captors. Radical hospitality saved her life. We cannot be so naive to think that her motivation was other than survival. Still, in doing so, and in realizing at that moment that we are just passengers in this world, something divine appeared in the midst of an enormous tragedy surrounding Edry's home. Because of her actions, the hostage became a host, and they forgot, albeit briefly, that they were killers and victims. Now, obviously, Rachel had an Islamic background, most likely coming from Morocco. She points out how in the Muslim community, hospitality has become less critical, and how the material world and our comfort compete with one of the most essential values. She adds, these days, many of us are overcommitted and life seems to be running on a fast track, whereby the arrival of a guest is no less than a traffic jam or a blockage. Thus, hospitality seems to be disappearing and fading in both Muslim and Jewish communities. Ethical behavior and the traditional hospitality it demands seem to have taken a back seat in this age to materialism. We seem to be transforming into machines with little feeling and affection for fellow human beings. Now, I know in my house, we always make more food when we have guests. And even in my family, in my aunt's family, my aunt from Stamford, Connecticut, Lil, they didn't have so much money when they were raising children. And they even had a saying that was called FHB, family hold back. You would appear to be eating, but you'd really leave most of the food for the guests. And so that's something that is from both Jewish and Muslim traditions. So, and one of the other concepts about being a guest in this world, it is one of the reasons we don't tattoo our bodies as Jews, or at least we're told not to, is because your body is actually the property of God. And we want to return it as best we can in a form that was like, but not the same as we were born with. So I hope and pray for the day that radical hospitality supersedes all radicalisms, and that one day, and we can be and should be at peace with our neighbors. We have so much in common, and it seems such a horrible thing that we have to be constantly fighting, because in this situation, nobody wins. And how do we possibly come back from years and years of having each other killing our children? So, but Rachel found something in that moment, and it's pretty amazing. For those of you who are online, if you have names for Kaddish, please put them in the chat. Our service continues on page 282 with Aleinu. Please rise, if you want to. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר on page 287, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. Our thoughts turn to those who are not with us anymore, who we remember at this time, and we find on page 293. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, life and death. At this time, we think about those who've been laid to rest this past week. Think of Kurt Fisher. Those who've died within the past 30 days, the Shloshim, Lenore Mendelsohn, Isabel Verduro, Richard Ablin, Harriet Smith, Lois Rich, Bob Germain, Earl Spielman, Rabbi Eric Wiesnia, Allison Sprinkle, Laurel Ore Bartlett, and those whose yard sites we observed this week, Lester Abelson, Minnie Bear Wilson, Anthony Berlingeri, Nicholas Blitz, Karen Blitz, Francis Ken, Bernhard Cohen, Helen Damashek, Karen Ehrenberg, Ann Federhar, Samuel Fox, Ben Friedman, Robert Goncharski, Sheldon Gutman, Donna Hopper, Vera Diamond Jacobson, Theodore Koff, Marianne Crane Solot, Esther Lauwasser, Charles Lefevre, Morris Late, Ted Lessman, Fanny Levy, Leonard Levy, Rose Locke, Jania Luxemburg, Naomi Pazau, Abraham Paris, Fred Polsky, Fred Richter, Karen Riley, Lothar Rosenheimer, Susan Rachel Salmon, Inga Schneider, Burnett Schwartz, Anna Shire, John Sturrett Hunt, Ezra Velez, Jenny Weiss, Mendel White. There are no additional names from online. Are there any additional names you'd like to add from this week? We turn to page 294, and together we recite as a congregation the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yit kadesh, Shmei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dekol Beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kari v'yimru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam olamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yithalel v'yithalal Shmei Dekudisha Brihu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'ne'emata, damiran b'yalma v'yimru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'hayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yal kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru Amen. May their memories be for a blessing. Zichronam levracha. Please be seated. Thank you for your patience. I've been doing this for many, many years, but when you're on a different setting and doing it alone and with a different order of how things are done, I try to keep within the framework of what we do here. I've been learning and learning and learning, and I'm sure by the time I leave at the end of the year, I'll have it down pat. But until then, just bear with me. We end our service with the singing of Oseh Shalom. I don't know if there's enough of us to actually do a round, but if you are musical and would like to try to sing the melody against the A part against the B part, I welcome it. This is Debbie Friedman's Oseh Shalom, and it starts slowly. Oseh Shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael vayimeru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael vayimeru Amen, Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael vayimeru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'yimeru Amen, Amen. than ever, we need peace. I was told last night this is my job. I'm a schlepper. Do we traditionally do the full metal Kiddush on Saturday? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'yahava uvratzon hinilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tehila למקרא קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. קיוונו ואתה, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון, הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Amen. It was good, whatever it was. I think it was grape juice, but I try not to sing into the bread. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. And I'm going to bring this forth to all of you. If you'd want some, you please take some, because no one ever eats all the challah, and I get worried that we're wasting challah when it's so good. Take it home with you. Thank you. Thank you.